Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed alumni of the American University of Beirut and dear Lebanese community, thank you for being with us today for this significant and timely webinar on mental health during crisis, organized by the AUB Alumni Chapter in Riyadh. It is a topic that has never been more urgent or relevant, especially given the ongoing crisis in Lebanon. My name is Yahya Al-Awaini, and I have the honor of serving as the president of the AUB Alumni Chapter in Riyadh. On behalf of the entire chapter committee, we deeply appreciate your time and presence, particularly during such a critical stage in our country's history. Before we dive into today's discussion, I would like to extend a special welcome to our esteemed guests. First, our distinguished speakers, here to share their valuable expertise with our community. Dr. Myrna Saadeh White, Dr. Michel Daher, and Mrs. Rouba Nahas. I would also like to welcome Professor Umayya Musharrafiyeh, Chairman of the Family Medicine Department at AUBMC, Dr. Rawad Hdaife, Chairman of the Biotechnology Department at the American University of Ras Al Khaimah, Dr. Antoine Shalita, Program Director of Family Medicine at St. George Hospital, Dr. Lala Dendashi, Faculty and Nutrition Director at UCLA, California, the dedicated and heroic volunteers from the Lebanese Red Cross, the representatives from Himaya pour l'Innocence en Danger, the presidents of AUB alumni chapters from around the world, including those from Paris, Dubai, Doha, Kuwait, and US-based chapters. Mr. Ramzi Bizri, president of the LEU alumni chapter in Riyadh, and Mr. Najib Dibas, president of the USG alumni chapter in Riyadh, along with fellow alumni from LEU and USG. And finally, a warm welcome to our distinguished alumni of the American University of Beirut in Saudi Arabia. Your continued support and trust are what makes this revived chapter so special and so vibrant. Our gathering here today sends a powerful message and reminder that despite the difficulties we face, we can unite.
I have it, I can have it. But it's
We can unite indeed across universities, across borders, and across professions. And we can stand together as one resilient Lebanese community. We are bound not only by our academic and professional affiliations, but by something much deeper, our shared love for Lebanon and our constant hope and prayers for a better future for our homeland and for our kids. Now, I would like to extend to you and emphasize on the words shared this week
actually
by
شيرين انت
Dr.
دايما
Fadl Khouri.
was very obvious. لا مش نايم
Sorry, by Dr. Fadl Khouri, president of the American University of Beirut. Quote, for 158 years, this university has been stalwart in fulfilling its mission and serving the people of Lebanon, the Middle East, and beyond. That mission is not an abstract matter. To educate and to serve, to heal and to empower are more than words. They are a moral code to live by, and a powerful message of hope, a quality that is much needed to so many members of our community in these tragic times, unquote. Now, I would like to take a moment to thank our dear AUB alumna and committee member, Dr. Gracia Hamade, who proposed this mental health webinar and worked alongside our dedicated committee members to bring it to realization. We are proud to have you, Dr. Gracia, as a valued member of our team and as today's moderator. Ladies and gentlemen, as we embark on this discussion, let today be the beginning of more conversations, collaborations, and initiatives. Let us come together despite our differences and backgrounds and play our part in healing and rebuilding our beloved Lebanon. We stand firm in the belief that we, the educated and empowered youth can achieve what others may have found impossible. Together, we are not only witnesses to change, we are the change Lebanon so desperately needs in this time of crisis. Thank you once again for your presence and for your commitment. Dr. Gracia, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Yahya. Good evening, fellow Lebanese. We cannot deny the toll of trauma on our beloved country. Would life return to being normal? It is crucial now more than ever to prioritize mental health and well-being amidst the uncertainty and hardships that have plagued our nation. I'm honored to moderate this very unique session dedicated to offering psychological support to our community, wherever you may be, as we navigate through various strategies on coping, with our three distinguished speakers sharing their expertise as well as their insights on the uncertainties of war, while maintaining resilience and finding peace within ourselves. I encourage you all to actively engage, ask questions, and maybe absorb the knowledge that our speakers have to offer. So, without further ado, let us begin this very insightful session by introducing our first speaker, Dr. Myrna Saadeh. After completing her psychiatry residency at the American University of Beirut Medical Center, Dr. Saadeh resumed her PhD in mind-body medicine at Saybrook University, California. She completed her practicum requirements in the field of integrative oncology at Icahn School of Medicine and Mount Sinai Hospital, New York. Dr. Myrna is also a U.S. certified advanced practitioner in trauma healing since 2016. In her own words, I quote, "My belief in the uniqueness of human experience, DNA, physiology, subconscious beliefs, environment, childhood, even nutrition, didn't go well with the one-size-fits-all model that is conventional medicine. Every detail of one's history from birth till the present is interconnected like a web and serves as clues to the current state of health. Dr. Saadeh, I ask you, how can we weave our web of healing or towards healing? The floor is yours."
Thank you, Dr. Gracia, for this humbling introduction, to say the least. I would like to extend my gratitude to primarily all the attendees. Because of you actually brought us together. Of course, the AUB Alumni Association Riyadh Chapter, and a special thanks goes out to, of course, Dr. Hamade. The focus of my session is on mind-body medicine, integrative mental health, and our practices, what we can practice in terms of self-care in times of crisis. Today, it so happens that it's World Mental Health Day, October 10. So also, this is a pleasure for us to be connected, all of us as Lebanese, on this extremely important event. I would also like to share that throughout my presentation, memories, images, emotions might come up to the surface. So that is okay if it happens, and it is natural, and that's the whole point. So why are we here? We are here, we are coming together to cope better and to feel better. So I will be sharing now my screen, and please you have the chat box, and you can always ask questions, and we will do our best to answer them. Okay. So Dr. Gracia already shared everything. I would like also to add that I'm the founder of Wellbeing Center Middle East since 2010 in Beirut and in Dubai. I also teach hypnotherapy, positive psychiatry, cognitive behavioral therapy, and meditation, as well as breath work. Our beloved Lebanon. So we are going through a challenging set of circumstances for the past how many years? You can all answer. We've been going through political instability, COVID, the economic crisis, the massive influx of refugees, the horrific Beirut blast, which personally also made me come to Dubai, yet my center is still active in Lebanon. Sharp increase in poverty, humanitarian needs. Public institutions have been turned into emergency shelters, as you all know. And some people are using their savings for accommodations. Families have been separated. Men are staying in areas at risk while sending their wives and children to safety to make an income. And when it comes to agriculture, phosphorus bombs, zero harvest, like how many years would the land need to heal, to be healthy enough to replant? Maybe several years. Increased, all leading to increased vulnerabilities, psychological distress, and different abuses. So what is also scary for all of us is normalizing war, right? Us Lebanese, a big part of our brain normalizes war, part of our daily bread, children recognizing even different ammunition sounds, and their childhood is being damaged. What keeps us moving? Hope and faith. I'd like to shed light on the trauma and stress responses, the mind's defense mechanisms. So I'm sure that most of you here, you might feel an urge to confront or retaliate against the source of stress, and this is identified as fight. Others may want to escape or avoid the situation entirely. Many friends of mine are actually leaving. This is flight, or sending their families abroad altogether. Freeze. Many people are feeling paralyzed or unable to act. They tell me, I find myself stuck on the couch and I can't go to work. Fawn. This response involves trying to appease or please others, also to avoid further conflict. Hypervigilance, constantly feeling on edge, easily startled, and always on guard. Dissociation, feeling detached from reality, as if you're observing yourself from outside your body. Re-experiencing is having intrusive memories, flashbacks, nightmares about the traumatic event. Avoidance, some people are avoiding altogether, steering clear of people, places, social isolation, basically, or activities that remind them of the trauma. Emotional numbing, feeling numb, disconnected from the emotions, and psychosomatization, headaches, stomach aches, IBS, or other physical reactions to stress related to lowered immunity and imbalances. Dissociation is definitely a disorder associated with war, somatization, phobias, adjustment disorders, eating disorders, insomnia, and sleep-related disorders. So if I am now to ask you, how is your sleep being affected? What do you resonate with from the list that I mentioned? Please do feel free to reply. Anxiety, alcohol consumption is increasing, self-medicating, disruptive behavior, maybe also in teenagers, depression, and post-traumatic stress disorder. I would like to focus specifically on transgenerational trauma as well. years after it ends, generational trauma stories remain. How does it transmit? Transmission mechanisms across generations, biological, social, psychological. The experience of children after conflict is strongly influenced by the experiences of their parents. In research, we have seen, it has been proven that maternal exposure to violence has consequences on children's health. Strong association between maternal symptoms of depression, anxiety, PTSD, and also PTSD symptoms in children. And also historical narratives, that are told after the conflict even, can you imagine? It also shapes upcoming generations even after migration. How a society deals with aftermath or of the conflict as well. And this allowed us to be born in survival mode. So before we even took our first breath, we are born in survival mode. Can the impact of trauma, the weight of a violent past, be felt by those who are not directly, who did not directly live it? So this is a question for you, but I guess I answered it, that yes, the impact of trauma, the weight of a violent past can be felt by those who did not directly live it. For you, if you have a paper next to you, or if you can answer, take a moment to answer, to complete the sentence, my body, my heart, or I invite you, if you like, to put one hand over your heart. And how does it feel? How does it feel? Does the heart feel tense, in pain, heavy, resentful, angry? So usually our chest space harbors a lot of grief and mourning. It even stops us from breathing. So practicing body consciousness to witness your emotions. How are you feeling? Some answers would be, I am sensing into my body. I am saying hello to what is there. And it's very important that you learn these tools, because as we said, many people tend to withdraw or go into denial, or, to dissociate totally from their bodies. And this is a root cause of physical illnesses. So I invite you to say out loud or silently as you are reading those lines, I'm saying hello to what's there. I choose to be safe with my feelings. I am letting my body know I hear it, because the body always talks to us. I am thanking my body and the parts that have been with me. So the road towards healing, what does it begin with? Acknowledging the stress, awareness of the problem or the problems, and having the bravery to admit it to ourselves, because admitting takes a lot of bravery. Being vulnerable is actually strength, not weakness. Compassionate body awareness and self-care. Compassionate means opposite force, or opposite being harsh with oneself. Mindful moment-to-moment awareness and practices, being empathetic with ourselves, not only with others. Self-regulation, mentalizing, we will practice them in the coming slides. Taking small actions towards health, to re-establish a healthy routine in case you found yourself, with your stress response being activated, disconnected from your healthy routine. And healing involves symbolic processes as well. Sometimes you would like to light a candle or draw. You don't really have to be a professional artist. Or turning over a new leaf, like adopting this mindset of turning over a new leaf. So about mind-body medicine, it emphasizes the interconnectedness of our mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual health, teaches us powerful ways in which we can participate in our own healing and health. And I think that's very important. Thoughts, feelings, beliefs, and attitudes, they do shape every aspect of our biological functioning. And how we care for our body affects how we think and feel as well. So we can do many things to actually care for ourselves. The benefits, as you might imagine, deeper relaxation, less fatigue, more energy, boosting our immune health, stress management and anxiety reduction, better adjustment, teaching us to take care of our needs first and then others. And usually this is also extremely important for people who work in healthcare, because we are wired to take care of others first. Helps us manage realistic plans, small steps towards change, sustainability as well, improved sleep, pain management, symptoms associated with chronic disease. Also, research has shown that they also improve, and all in all, a positive life outlook. I'm sharing with you some coping skills and techniques, and we can also exercise together. Soft belly breathing, body scan. I will facilitate this for you. It only takes a few minutes. Body scan dialogue, especially if we have symptoms, so that we learn how to talk to our symptoms. Biofeedback, autogenic training to self-regulate. Wise self-imagery, progressive muscle relaxation, functional nutrition, mindful eating, shaking and dancing. So basically movement is very important. We can also learn from dogs and cats how they shake, and it's also to release negative energy. Hypnotherapy, muscle testing, drawings as a form of self-expression, genogram, yes, no exercise. Sometimes we do not know how to say no. And it's important that we learn that in order to establish healthy boundaries. And sometimes we say yes all the time, and this also can affect us quite negatively. And journaling as well. I'm sharing with you now the rational emotive behavioral REBT and rational thinking positive living. Due to time constraints, obviously, we are not able to go through it, but maybe if you'd like to take a picture, or we can later on touch base together. ABCs in medicine in general, airway, breathing, circulation, we have to make sure that they are there, that they are safe. Same thing in mental health. The A stands for activating event. Now it's the war. It's Israel, Benjamin. They are activating us Lebanese. The B is the unhelpful beliefs. It's very important that you write down what you are thinking. And then after you write it down in the box, you recognize, is it demandingness? Am I using a lot of must and should and ought? As I said, this is demandingness is using force. It's opposite empathy and compassion with the self. Awfulizing, am I always catastrophizing? Am I intolerant? خلاص, I cannot stand it. Am I self-downing? Do I notice that I am downing myself or downing others, or even downing my beloved country? هذا خلاص بلد ما بيسوى, or it's worthless, or life is not worthwhile. So it's important to write down those beliefs and then go to the C, the consequences. What are the negative emotions that I am feeling? Anxiety, fear, shame, depression, helplessness, anger. What's the unhelpful behavior that I'm going through? What are the physical sensations or symptoms that I'm feeling in my body? So after we write this down, we go into debating. Okay, and then we go into reframing those beliefs into helpful ones. And there are the steps, the steps there to guide you. And then most importantly, we reach the F, which is the functional consequences, so that now that we have changed our way of thinking, we will be experiencing more helpful behavior. Okay. The genogram, it's related to our transgenerational trauma. These are its symbols. Of course, usually in sessions or in group support, we go through that. You can create your genogram. And those are the guiding questions. What was it like to do it? Who are you most like? Is your symptom present there? Where is the trauma? What is the greater meaning and lessons learned from doing your genogram? Now, for whoever would like, I would like to invite you to close your eyes. It's not mandatory, but if you would like to close your eyes, please go ahead. So now that your eyes are closed, I would like you to take a deep breath in, hold for a moment, and then slowly exhale. And if you feel better, you can even remove your video to benefit from this exercise. Acknowledge your thoughts. You know, thoughts are not actually predictive. Recognize and filter the negative ones. What am I thinking right now? After you are now thinking the thoughts and being aware of them, allow yourself to visualize a calm place, a place where you've been to, a place, maybe a beach, that brings calm into your body. And repeat out loud or silently, I am safe right now. I trust myself to handle whatever comes. This moment is all I need to focus on. Take again a deep breath and exhale. Now I would like you to put one hand over your stomach and take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth and inflate your stomach as if you are inflating a balloon. On the inhale, tell yourself soft, and on the exhale, say to yourself belly. Allow your belly to become soft and relaxed. And this is activating your vagus nerve, which connects your belly to your brain. So on every inhale, keep on saying soft. On every exhale, say belly. And this is actually relaxing you, quieting your body. Feel how your body is quiet now. Your heart rate slower. Feel how all of your muscles are relaxing and letting go. I will count slowly from 1 to 5, and as I'm counting, you will allow yourself to double the level of relaxation that is in your body. 1, deeper and deeper. 2, you can also imagine how every day in every respect you get better and better. 3, 4, and 5. Take a few moments, and then whenever you are ready, you can open your eyes. So when you go to bed, because continuity of care is quite important, you can continue by exercising and giving yourself the following suggestion every day in every respect. I get better and better. You get to decide in which ways you would like to get better and better. So we want to establish a habit pattern, and you will find yourself reacting very positively when you wake up in the morning. And you can add further relaxation. If you count from 25 down to 1, this will help you deepen your relaxation more. And then you program yourself even further on the suggestion that is unique to you. I placed an example there for you. On a daily basis, I practice mind-body skills for 3 minutes twice daily, and I feel peaceful and calm. I let go of fear and replace fear with safety. So it's important for the suggestion that you want to give yourself to be positive, simple, in the present tense, which is very important and measurable. And it should carry a reward as well. So it should also be believable, realistic, and you can also imagine that you are accomplishing what you are saying. Guided imagery also, because for the mind, what you imagine is real. So when you vividly visualize a scene, your mind is actually benefiting a lot and being rewired accordingly. And you can practice this progressive muscle relaxation, sitting with yourself, lying down, focusing on every body part. Now, why did I add the root chakra? We have many energy centers in our body, but I chose the root chakra. Why? Because it's about survival. And us Lebanese, we are all in survival mode, even us expats that are not in Lebanon. Sometimes I think it might be even harder not to be there. So food, shelter, safety, comfort, belonging. So now the root chakra is blocked. All of us, I assure you, all of our root chakras are blocked. And due to its location, it is associated with the adrenal glands. Adrenal glands, the stress hormone cortisol, of course, is being affected negatively. And fear also blocks it, which we are all very afraid for our country and friends. And when it is blocked, you might resonate with the symptoms. You will feel stuck and inactive. You will experience overwhelming stress because of the pressure. You feel insecure about your life, even if deep down you have high self-esteem and you are very efficient, yet because of the situation, you will feel insecure about your life, left out, or facing financial problems. So imagine even our financials are connected to the root chakra. And Dr. Gracia, we were saying, she told me, how many times has Beirut been burned down to the ground? You know, so you can understand how, due to that, we have financial problems as well. So 16 times, was it, Dr. Gracia? So the alignment, thankfully, we can sit comfortably, we can visualize a red light because the root chakra, red is its color. And we can imagine the red light growing stronger and stronger and getting more vibrant with each breath. And always we can affirm to ourselves, you know, giving the command to our brain, because if we don't give the command to our brain will be our master and you will start to have a monkey mind. And we don't want that. So it's very important that you speak to yourself, order yourself. I am connected and grounded through the earth. I am worthy of respect. I trust in the process of my life. I am grateful. I'm supported by Mother Earth. I trust the process. I trust my life. My life can be easy again. I am at home in my body, especially when we feel that we are not at home and our homes are destroyed. Bring back the power to you and say, I'm at home in my body. We move to the food because functional nutrition is a very important, vital part of mind-body medicine. You can see how vitamin Bs are very important, omega-3s, antioxidants, avoiding sugar, gluten, processed foods, alcohol, and you can see the diet, what is recommended. And I also chose to add some supplements, and always you can check in with your healthcare provider before you even, you know, many people take supplements without prescription, but please be aware that many supplements, we have what it's called drug-herb interactions. So please ask your doctor. Rhodiola and ashwagandha, I like them because they are adaptogenics. They help us adapt with what is going on and adjust. Valerian root before bed, studies have proven that it helps calm down our nervous system naturally. L-theanine is great. It helps the brain naturally go into the alpha brain wave. Lemon balm, melatonin. Recent studies have also supported melatonin not only as for sleep, also as an anti-inflammatory. Stress increases inflammation, so melatonin would be also beneficial. Vitamin D, the benefits are several. We would need more time to discuss all the benefits of vitamin D, but please check your vitamin D levels and accordingly your doctor will tell you how to take it. in terms of dosage. And probiotics, they are excellent for our immunity and enhanced digestion. And remember that the gut is the second brain. So the better physical digestion we have, the better the mental digestion. And the better the mental digestion, the better the physical digestion. In conclusion, وما بينشبع, a shift in the self-narrative. I hope that after this beautiful short session, it's been hard to make it short, you will experience a shift in the self-narrative, rewriting the story that you tell yourself, finding a perspective that supports you. You know, and this is quite unique for each person. What works for me might not work for you, right? So instead of I will never get past this, we can replace it with every day I take a step forward. Instead of focusing only on moments of loss, grief, and suffering, we can recognize the moments of opportunity, deepening our faith and transforming pain into insight. You can learn to be an alchemist, you know, changing energy from one form to another. To mature in your understanding of uncertainty, we can repeat to ourselves, I embrace uncertainty. If you are a bit religious, we can say, I trust in God. God is the unknown. Therefore, God is safe. Therefore, the unknown is safe. You know, these are how you talk to your mind. To refine your communication skills with yourself and others and reprioritize on your boundaries, the yes, the no. To become more authentic with yourself, more honest about what you want and need. So these are my references, and I'm really feeling quite honored and grateful. And please, you can share with me in the chat box how you are feeling now, how you started before my session, and now how you are feeling. One word. For me, I'm feeling two words, honored and grateful. For you guys listening, organizing. And these are my contacts for whoever would like to touch base after the session. And I'm also would like to invite you to a group facility. I'm being called to facilitate a mind-body skills group for 8 weeks, 1 hour each week, in order to teach about all the skills that I mentioned. We go more in depth. Thank you for having me. And now the floor is back to Dr. Gracia.
Well, I'll share with you and with our community members what I feel right now. I am looking forward to have this talk again, but back home in Beirut, with a different mood and a different perspective. Thank you for drawing a temporary smile on our faces. The vitamin D did it, I tell you that. Thank you, Dr. Saadeh. And thank you for everyone who are sharing their comments on the chat box. Yahya and I will address the questions in the Q&A. Moving on to our next speaker, a dear friend and colleague, Dr. Michel Daher, currently based in Dubai as a consultant psychiatrist at Aman Al Afia Clinic. After completing his training in psychiatry at AUB back in 2016 with a subspecialty in mood disorders and brain stimulation techniques, Dr. Daher served a variety of patients in Lebanon at AUB, Bellevue Medical Center, and St. Charles Hospital. Alongside his clinical position, he pursued his interest in academia as a clinical instructor at AUB, Hagazian University, and Doha Institute for Graduate Studies. In addition, Dr. Daher was one of the clinical supervisors for the National Mental Health and Suicide Helpline in Lebanon for a period of 2 years. I'm sure it was a fruitful experience, Dr. Daher. You are a strong advocate of raising awareness about mental health, and you believe, as we all do, in the right of individuals to seek support and treatment. You believe that a strong patient-doctor relationship is key to every successful treatment. Don't we all? The floor is yours.
Thank you everyone. Thank you, Dr. Gracia, Dr. Yahya, for the organization. Thank you for the attendees. Dr. Myrna, very insightful presentation, relaxing one. We learned how trauma can affect the body, the brain, the next generations, and that there is some ways to deal with this, and that gives us hope. In my presentation, which I'll be sharing now, but please let me know if you see my presentation.
Yes, perfect, Dr. Michel.
Okay. So I chose to talk a little bit about the expat situation, and I called it a unique challenge because honestly, personally, so this presentation is inspired by some personal experience, what my family, friends are feeling, and what some of the patients are also bringing to the sessions. So why it's quite a unique challenge. As an expat, we're dealing with what I called a dual burden. So we're not only worrying about what's happening in our country, we're not only worrying about the future, we're not only sad about seeing everything, but what's different here as an expat is that we have the need to adjust, and we have to adjust. Everyone is expected to continue his job as usual. Everyone is expected to continue his social engagement as nothing is happening. And this is really, really difficult to do. Also, in normal times, being displaced, being an expat, we try to cope by building some routines, some habits, some social connections, finding some purpose. But when there is crisis like this in our countries, the feeling of displacement intensifies again, and we feel like we just moved away and no one is understanding us. So first, I'll start that emotions are normal, and negative emotions sometimes are adaptive. So, like, I'll refer back to what Dr. Myrna just said, that we shouldn't use the word should, must. We shouldn't avoid our emotions, okay? Because everyone deals with situations differently. Everyone has different emotions that are triggered with the same situations. So it's not ideal to judge how we're feeling. So I will go through some themes and challenges expats are feeling and that I personally can relate to. First, what we call the survival's guilt. Survival's guilt is when you don't feel that you deserve to be safe where your country, your parents, your friends are suffering. You feel you're betraying your loved ones. So, and in crisis, when you're away and safe and you see other people are suffering, it's common to feel guilty. And this feeling of guilt is fueled and exacerbated by the feeling of helplessness. You're far away, you can do nothing. And sometimes you're also experiencing shame. We're experiencing shame if we're having a moment of joy. We're experiencing shame if we have a feeling of safety, if we have nice food, if we have shelter to live. So some of the common examples I hear from people is, I feel guilty for having a normal life while my family is going through so much back home. I feel guilty that I can't be there to help my family evacuate or provide direct support. So it's survival's guilt is common, is expected, but it's good to know that feeling safe, being safe is not a betrayal of those who are in danger. Second common theme is definitely fear, anxiety, uncertainty. What are we fearing? What are we anxious of? So first, we're anxious about the safety of our family members, safety of our friends who are still living in Lebanon now. we have fear and anxiety about the long-term impact of the war, about what will happen in the next stage, how many people will be displaced, what will happen to the economy, will the country be back on his feet? We have financial worries. Sometimes we cannot reach our parents. We have a connection problem in Lebanon. Some people like now are trying their best to get visas for their parents. We're worried about the airport. So all these are common and are expected. What's the impact of feeling anxious and stressed while adjusting to the situation? So some people have more anxiety and depression exacerbation. It's normal sometimes to have insomnia, sleepless night, constant distraction, not being able to focus on our tasks as usual, having a feeling of being overwhelmed or a constant sense of dread or doom. So also when we're anxious, sometimes we have difficulty focusing, we have difficulty coping with our relationships, the threshold of the stress, we cannot tolerate the stress that we used to tolerate, and that might affect our daily tasks. So a third theme is anger and frustration. Sometimes some people are feeling angry about the situation, about the injustice of war, about what's happening in front of our eyes. These emotions are also normal. It reminds us that we're alive, having these emotions. While it's important and it's valid, it's also important to know how to deal with anger in a constructive way and not to displace our anger toward our colleagues or family members. Fourth theme is disconnect and isolation. You know, personally, when I go to work, I feel that people are asking me, how are things in Lebanon? I just answer by saying, Alhamdulillah, all is good. I hope things will be better. But I don't really feel that people understand what's really happening there. They cannot feel what we're feeling. And this sometimes increases the feeling of isolation for us as an expats because they cannot identify with the people like we do. They don't know the places that we do. When there is a crisis or there is a loss, usually to adapt, people go through what we call grief. So when something happened, there's closure, there's a process of grief, and we have to move on to find a meaningful life. But in these situations, there's what we call unresolved grief. And what makes this situation unique and why the grief is unresolved? Why we're all grieving some people are grieving their loved ones. Some people have family members who died in the war. Some people lost physical properties. Some people are telling me, I feel I lost my identity. I lost my old way of living. Can I come back every summer to Lebanon? Will I see my house again? Will I see my family? So, but because we're distant from the event, we're not seeing, we're not attending, it's really difficult to understand it and to process it. Also because the event, what's happening, is prolonged and seems unending. We don't have the closure that we need. We don't have the certainty what really happened. So the prolonged nature of the event makes it difficult to have a healthy grief. So it's important to know that although we commonly think that we have to be victims of a trauma to be traumatized, sometimes even if we witness a trauma, even if we hear about what happened, if we see on the social media, we're at risk of having post-traumatic stress disorder. Okay, reading constantly the news will give us a sense of urgency to do something about it, while we cannot do something about it. So I'll go through a little bit of coping strategies. I leave that to what Dr. Myrna talked as ways to cope. But first, what I really like is acknowledging our emotions. We have to the first step is to recognize what we are feeling. So not to escape, not to deny, to know that our feelings, our emotions are valid. We have to talk ourselves and to validate our emotions. We shouldn't judge them. We should sit with them and understand that it's normal. And also, we shouldn't compare it with what other people are feeling. Everyone has a unique way of feeling when there is a specific situation. Second theme is engaging in self-care and stress management. So one way to cope with what's happening is having a routine and scheduled activities, because our brain really likes routine and it gives us a sense of normalcy. Physical activity is very important. Having adequate sleep, practicing mindfulness, grounding practices, deep breathing. I know it's difficult, but we always advise for limiting news exposure. It's different than like uh, we're not saying don't read the news, don't stay informed. It's important to stay informed, but it's different than constantly being exposed, constantly feeling that we should do something, constantly having this sense of urgency. It causes more and more anxiety and triggers. One important advice is to set boundaries when we feel that the conversations are unproductive, and definitely not to cope in maladaptive ways, okay, like using substances, for example. Building a strong support system. So, by regularly connecting, communicating with our family and friends in Lebanon, giving them support and seeking support from them, finding support in our communities as expats, joining supportive groups, strengthening our old relationships. And if we feel that we're really overwhelmed and we're really going through a very difficult period that we cannot tolerate anymore what's happening, seeking professional help. Positive actions are very helpful for the brain. So just simple acts of kindness, volunteering, donating, helping others. So this is what we can control. We cannot change the situation, but we can do we should set some expectations of what we can do and just do some little bit of positive actions. Some people hope by finding some meaning and purpose, like doing advocacy, raising awareness about their countries, organizing fundraising. Other people go more into spiritual and their religious practice, which can help them to find some like comfort and hope and meaning for what's happening. Finally, turning suffering into strength. I don't want to sound like positive. It's not, I don't like toxic positivity, but like always believing that through adversity we can grow. And adversities can lead sometimes to more to personal growth, to developing greater empathy for others, to have a stronger sense of values, of purpose, developing new strength, re-evaluating our life goals, and building deeper connections with others. Thank you so much for listening.
Michel, great presentation, down to the point, and I'm sure that myself, for a second I disconnected as a physician, and I was listening to you as a regular expat. Everything you said is validated, and I hope we can achieve, well, 50% of the points that you mentioned. There are a couple of questions that the audience have shared. We will leave them till the last section, the Q&A, but thank you once again. Very insightful. Finally, I would like to introduce our third speaker, Mrs. Rouba Nahas, a clinical psychologist specializing in cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, and rational emotive behavioral therapy, REBT. Mrs. Nahas earned both a bachelor's and a master's degree from St. Joseph University, Beirut, followed by a diploma in CBT and REBT from the College of CBT in the UK. With a profound commitment to mental health, Mrs. Nahas primarily works with children and adolescents, providing therapeutic support and parental guidance to foster resilience and emotional well-being. Back in Lebanon, she previously served as the Prevention Program Coordinator at Himaya, a prominent Lebanese NGO specialized in child protection. And I'd like to also thank Yahya for reaching out to our Himaya representatives from the audience and attending with us today. In her role, Mrs. Nahas designed and implemented awareness programs aimed at educating communities about child protection and development. Her expertise extended to training both internal and external teams on effective child protection practices, equipping professionals like us with the skills necessary to support vulnerable populations. Mrs. Nahas, I'm so happy that you were able to join us on a short notice tonight. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Gracia. Thank you, Dr. Michel and Dr. Myrna. Good evening, everyone. So today I will be tackling the part that concerns children, because I know that many parents are always asking, like, we as expats, what do we tell children? Should we share information? How much information should we share? What should we say? What should we avoid saying? And how do we help them cope with what's happening around us? So what I have noticed, I'm pretty sure that in the audience, most of you are parents maybe, and the main concerns of children are, the main questions that I have heard is Israel attacking Lebanon? Are they attacking our house? Is the family back home safe, or the surrounding, the environment, our friends, or anyone that we know? And will we be able to visit Lebanon and the family again? So, and somehow we don't have answers to these questions. So how do we deal with that? And how do we answer those questions? And how do we help them cope with these tough times? First of all, I would like to talk about the open communication. So I will be very straight to the point, and I will try to give as many practical tools as possible. I know that we as adults are already on edge, and it's not always easy to create that safe space for the child to express himself and ask questions. But it is really very important to do that, for them to, one, express their feelings and ask as many questions as they need. So whenever they express their feelings and we listen actively to them, we will have to validate those feelings and to show empathy, or maybe share some concerns that we have, but not in a sense where we want them to worry. So we want them to understand that, yes, we are concerned as well, but things are going to be fine. I will be more specific later on. But most importantly, I know that sometimes children might ask you the exact same questions 10 times. Please make the effort of answering the exact same question, maybe in different ways, because if they're asking again the same question, it means something's off, something's not adding up, and they need to feel reassured. So please, listening actively is very important in such cases. Second, education and information. So age-appropriate discussion. I think this is the trickiest part, and this is what I have been asked so many times since the beginning of the war in Lebanon. How do I explain the situation in a way that they can understand? What do I share? What information do I share? What do I avoid saying? Most importantly, I need to answer. I cannot hide the reality if my child comes to me and asks me about the war. Because if he's asking a question, it means he needs to have an answer. And if I don't give him the answer, he's going to go and look for it elsewhere. And this could really harm him. So better to give him the appropriate answer, and I will explain further how, rather than avoiding and creating that elephant in the room that we do not want to tackle. Okay, so please just focus on the importance of peace and safety rather than, giving unnecessary details. Let's talk about like the young ones, 4 years, 5 years old. If they don't know about the situations, we are expats. Don't tell them anything about it. No need. I know that most of the kids know about it and they ask, but let's think of the scenario where they're not aware of the situation. Please don't share the reality unless you have to. Like if you're not going to Lebanon anytime soon, or if you, like we just came back to Saudi Arabia from summer vacation, and we are not going back to Beirut anytime soon, no need to say anything until we figure things out and we figure out if we're going to be able to go back in a few months or like any time planned. But if we're not planning to go, please do not say anything until the child asks you. Okay? Now, for the young ones, let's say, I would say 5, 6, 7, or 8 years old. If they ask us something, I can say something like, Lebanon is going through a difficult time right now because there are fights and problems. Some people are very upset and scared, but many people are working hard to help each other and find ways to make things better. It's important to know that we care about them, and we can talk about that whenever you want. So this is my starting point. I give the least information, and then if the child is satisfied with this answer, no need to give further information. If the child asks for more, then I have to share more because it means that they know something. This is when I can revert back the question. Let's say, Mom, what's happening in Lebanon? Honey, what do you think is happening in Lebanon? What do you know? Like, I'm not investigating, but I'm just trying to know what he knows so that I give the appropriate answer. And if they don't know anything, I just go with the starting point, that answer. If they are satisfied, then no need to give further info. If they're not, then I need to share a bit more. This answer tackles more the age group of like 8 to 11 years old, where I can say, right now, Lebanon is facing some serious challenges because of conflicts and fighting. Many people are feeling scared and worried. It's a tough situation, but there are also a lot of people who are trying to help and support each other. If you have any question or you want to talk about it, I'm here for you. So this provides a bit more context while still being sensitive to their feelings. For the teenagers, so let's all agree that teenagers don't need us to have answers. They might even know more than us, but still they would come to us just to understand the why or what's going on, like what's really going on. This is when I can say something like Lebanon is experiencing a lot of turmoil right now due to ongoing conflicts and political issues. It's a really challenging time for many people there, and a lot of them are struggling with fear and uncertainty. But there are also efforts being made by individuals and organizations to help those in need. And if you have any question, please feel free to ask. I'm here to listen and discuss anything with you. So this approach respects their maturity and encourages open dialogue. Now, third point, emotional support. So as Dr. Michel and Dr. Myrna were saying, routine and stability. Dr. Michel was talking about the brain liking the routine because it provides a sense of normality and security. Same for children. We need to keep on going with the normal life as as it was. And then for the young ones, we can encourage creativity through activities like drawing or storytelling, pretend play. You will discover so many things through these activities and so many concerns that they might have that they are not being able to express with words. So this would be like really helpful. Limit exposure to news. I think that's an obvious one, but sometimes we're so worried that the TV is on and the voices of the reporters and the bombings in the background is really not helping. So please try to monitor their exposure to news about the conflict to prevent overwhelming them with distressing information, because they don't need that at all. Neither do we, right? So at some point, we need to disconnect as well. Practical involvement. So Dr. Michel was also talking about those acts of kindness. These would also help a lot the kids, because when we encourage them to participate in activities such as fundraising or volunteering or like sending boxes to Lebanon or anything that could help the country, this can empower them and give them a sense of citizenship and belonging. So, and it would shift their focus from the worry of the war to how are we going to help to make things better. Leading by example, and I think this is the hardest part. So Dr. Michel and Dr. Myrna were sharing coping strategies for adults. And I think that those strategies are really important to integrate, because I have so many parents that come to me and would say, Rouba, I promise you, I have a big smile when I come back home, and I'm pretty sure my child doesn't feel anything because I'm always smiling and I'm laughing. And I can promise you that kids sense anxiety and they smell it, they feel it like kilometers away. So it's really, I know that you're doing all the effort to have the best attitude and behavior with your child so that he doesn't or she doesn't feel it. But it's also important to really integrate those coping strategies for yourself, because they actually take cues from adults. So when they will see how you manage stress, this could be very reassuring, and that this is how they can imitate you. So every child is different, and it's important to tailor your approach to their individual needs and responses. So encouragement, love, and understanding will go a long way in helping them navigate these challenging times. Please, most importantly, if you feel that you are not being able to put into practice all these strategies and you feel that professional help is needed, please do not hesitate to call someone or to ask for help, because I'm pretty sure it will help you much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rouba. Very insightful, and you answered, well, most of our questions, but I'm gonna go ahead and jump into the Q&A section, and I will address the first two questions to you because they were addressed. The first question is, should we encourage or discourage video games as a method to distract our kids?
Well, of course, video games are not recommended at all. Screen time should be very limited. And it only stimulates the brain. And I think that we have a bunch of doctors who can explain the effects of the screens on children much more than I can, but of course it's not recommended. Please let them go out, play with the bicycle, with their friends, with board games, anything but no screens, please.
You heard it, guys, no screens. All right, and another question to you, Rouba. When answering the child's question or anxiety, what do you think of physical proximity, eye contact, going down to the child's level? Don't you think it makes them feel that we validate their emotions?
Well, of course, it depends on the age of the child. So, for example, teenagers are a bit more distant, you know, and they might not need it specifically. But for a young child who like seems to be like really worried, yes, of course, this would help. He might need a hug. So just cater for every child's needs, regardless of his age or what he might like. We need to listen to what they might need, what they might show us, and we just cater for their needs.
Thank you. I agree with you. Michel, question to you. How can we detect the red flags to seek professional help with our doctor or our psychiatrist? And when do medications become mandatory?
Yeah, thank you for the question. So, I it's not a straightforward answer because, you know, emotions, like we say, are what you said, are adaptive, can be normal for a certain period of time. It's the body's the alarm to tell us that there's something wrong. We need to do something about it. But actually, we define the red flags by like some elements, which are the duration of the symptoms. If anxiety or the sadness, the depression is long enough, constant, not calming, and it's a constant negative emotion all the time. If there is many symptoms, if we're anxious, we cannot focus, we are very irritated, we have bodily pain, muscles pain, difficulty sleeping, and mainly if what we're experiencing is affecting our ability to do our tasks. So it's normal for a short period of time not to do our tasks, but when the duration is extended to weeks or months, then the person might be like in a state where he needs medical or maybe therapy to help with the symptoms. Also, when there is red flags like suicidal ideation, isolation, substance abuse, increase of the pattern of substance misuse, uh, like big behavioral changes, someone might consider that a red flag.
I agree, Michel. Myrna, a question to you. Is the role of social media being played nowadays destructive or constructive? A general question, but maybe we can tailor it to our today's content.
Sure. Thank you. Staying informed is extremely important. It's one of the ways we cope, be it now our beloved audience, you know, due to them being informed on social media, they found us and they connected with us. So in here, it's very important to practice what I like to call discernment. So discernment, it's about having good judgment, knowing what is the good source that we follow, for example, and the source that is adding, for example, more stress, we don't want that source. So it's discernment on what sources to follow and what sources not to follow, basically. So staying informed and social media, they affect our mental health a lot. So really knowing how to filter what is beneficial and what is not beneficial, having good judgment when it comes to that is quite vital, Dr. Gracia.
While you were talking about hope, actually, you started your presentation about hope. One of the
Yes.
audience jumped into a question saying, How can we use language with self-dialogue and with others to create hope?
Right, very, very nice question. So I think a little bit I've covered that in the session in my webinar, how to reframe our thoughts, how to debate them as well, so that we do not get drowned in negativity. So it's all about, you know, what is the opposite of hope, Gracia? It's and everyone else. It's despair. So knowing really what is bringing about the despair, and again practicing discernment and protecting ourselves, practicing boundaries with ourselves first, is quite important. And of course, practicing all the mind skills, the body skills. What also Dr. Michel and Mrs. Rouba mentioned would be quite important. So stress equals or burnout or trauma. It's when we have a lot of stress, much more than our own inner resourcefulness. So the more we invest in self-care, which is primary care, really, the more protected we are, and we prevent all the mental and physical illnesses that are quite prominent nowadays.
You said the keyword primary care.
Yes.
Michel, a note to you and a question, maybe if for our speakers. It starts as such. We need to replace the word resilient from our dictionary, as what appears to be something we are proud to have is actually backfiring at us as individuals. We are not okay, and our survival mode is becoming beyond chronic. How do we deal with this brand as Lebanese? That's a tough one.
Yeah. It's an interesting one, because yeah, I've been also witnessing this trend on social media, mainly Twitter, talking about resilience, and some people are making fun of the word now, and they're equating it as a synonym of for inaction or becoming helpless. Where here it's important to define what's resilience. So resilience is not the opposite of inaction or doing nothing or not learning. Resilience is the opposite of despair, like Dr. Myrna just mentioned. Is the opposite of being vulnerable and not being able to bounce back when we have adversity. So life is full of adversity. We will be faced by difficult times, crises, etc. So resilience is something that we can be born with some level of resilience, and we can learn some set of skills to be resilient. And the aim of resilience is to be able to bounce back when how to deal, how to cope, for us to be able to go back to our baseline when the adversity ends. So it's resilience is being actually realistic about what's happening, being able to regulate our emotion and not fall into despair or anger or forgetting our values, is maintaining some sense of purpose in life. What I call kind hope, not being positive during adversity, but maintaining a kind hope that at the end there must be something that will be changing. So creating opportunities during adversities. We've seen that, we've witnessed that, how people are helping each other during previous crises or during these crises. And there is evidence that after big traumas, actually, as individuals, some are prone to have some growth, and also as societies. Some societies have the capacity to grow. So resilience is important, and when we define it well, it doesn't mean inaction, like some people are using it. That was the question?
That was our question, actually. Everybody's asking that.
Mm.
Rouba, would you think that resilience has a meter? Is it different between kids versus adults? And I'll add to that another layer. If I'm a parent who lost it, I lost my resilience, I'm burning out, as Dr. Saad is pointing, I cannot take it anymore. I have to deal with my parents back home. I have to deal with my toxic boss at work as an expat. I have to deal with plan B and C. I'm worried about relocating. How can I build a resilient child?
Interesting question. So, first of all, kids are resilient by nature, like more than us. So that ability to bounce back is there. And sometimes we worry more than we should on how are they going to cope with any situation. I'm not talking about the war specifically. So they have that ability. Of course, it differs, the level of resilience and that ability differs from a child to another, but it's there. Now, if I'm going through a burnout, let's say, or I'm losing it and I'm not being able to myself cope properly with what's going on, honestly, I would definitely recommend delegation. Try delegating to their father, any family or friends that we have, because we are expats and our families here are our friends. So please delegate as much as possible until I find a way to figure my things out, and so that I can help my child again.
Myrna, would you like to add anything on that topic? I think we're nearing the end, but about resilience in specific,
Yes.
where do we stand?
I really appreciate Dr. Michel mentioning that resilience is also genetic, so I'm a big advocate of even our feelings, our behavior also have a big genetic component. And sometimes this is why you see other people are not resilient. But the good news is that we can learn how to be resilient. And for me, it's all about balance, Gracia, because us Lebanese, and I'm sure the dear person who asked this question is coming from a place of like as a negative connotation, or like with a touch of sarcasm, maybe, that Lebanese people are resilient, as if resilience عم ياخد محل العلم اللبناني عشوائي. So from here, it's important for us to balance between resilience and what we truly need as Lebanese, because sometimes we say we are resilient, but saying that we are resilient sometimes blocks our throat chakra. What do we really want to express? Okay, I'm resilient. I want to say to the rest of the world, I'm resilient with pride. However, do I feel safe to express my feelings out loud? Am I expressing my feelings out loud to my leaders? As Lebanese, am I really knowing what to choose? Am I practicing my autonomy or not? Just because I'm resilient, it doesn't mean that I have to accept, the status quo, for example, or keep on moving in this direction that our ancestors have been moving. So from here, it's important to recognize that resilience causes burnout, and most Lebanese, I speak for myself, I don't want to generalize. Generalization is a cognitive distortion, but I know from my clinical practice that a big number of us Lebanese, we have burnout, and we are proud to be burnt out, instead of going to a mental health professional and really treating our burnout. So the key is balance, Gracia, really. And this is my main message for everyone. Like, please take care of yourselves, take care of your mental health. We do not have health without mental health. And today is World, as I said, Mental Health Day. And it's all about balance also between work and life. We find ourselves on overdrive, working us Lebanese without even knowing how to balance between work and vacation time or work and family time, because we are afraid, because of resilience, because of fear, because of missing out, because of not having enough money, because of the crisis, etc. We are definitely lacking this balance. So learning how to have a balance so that we deserve to thrive rather than be on survival mode. So thank you a lot for the person who asked this question. She helped us, talk more and spend more time with each other tonight.
I agree. Well, I have a question, and that's to Yahya Lawaini, our Riyadh AUB chapter. If you are online, Yahya, my question to you is, do you think you leading this community is a mode of resilience with all what's going on in Riyadh, in KSA, back home? What Michel was saying, and Myrna and Rouba, we're practicing on a daily basis with our community members. I'd like your thought on that.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Gracia. يعني الصراحة after the expert's opinion on resilience, ما عندي شيء to add, but what I can say is what's really unique about our chapter, or about uh, the members of this community, is not really the fact that they are resilient, but the fact that they are united, that they believe in the power of network. They believe that as Lebanese, we can stand together, as AUBites, we can stand together, hand in hand, support each other on so many levels, because we are living abroad. نحن بالغربة. So ديجا بالغربة بنحس حالنا لحالنا. We need this sense of belonging, this sense of that there's someone next to me if things get bad. And we were able to revive this chapter with the support of amazing committee members, but also with the trust of our 700 alumni now registered with us. So the feeling of belonging is very important. This is what helps us to stay together, and we put aside everything related to religion, everything related to politics. It's about us as AUBites, as Lebanese who wants to strive, who want a better future for us, for our kids, and we want to get back to Lebanon. We want to be back to Lebanon for a better future and a better Lebanon for everyone. So that's my feedback on this, based on the experience we had in this amazing chapter.
إن شاء الله تكون الرجعة قريبة.
إن شاء الله يا رب, to everyone, إن شاء الله.
As we conclude this webinar, I want to express my gratitude to our esteemed speakers for their valuable contributions, your valuable contributions, and to each one of you, community members and alumni, for your active participation during this session. An extra dose of thank you to our president, Yahya, for bringing together the people, mainly the WAAAUB chapter representatives, and for our communication officer, Ms. Elisa Hamade, for her daily follow-up and technical support of this webinar and the hosts dealing with this and that on a daily basis. Elisa, ما رح نوجع لك راسك بالweekend. Thank you so much. And all what I have to say is, in times of turmoil and distance from our loved ones, it is vital to lean on into our inner strength, seek support from our community, as Yahya mentioned, and prioritize self-care and well-being. It is only through solidarity we can face adversity. Thank you and have a peaceful night.